I am all for being friends with exes as long as it is healthy, there's no toxicity, and it's platonic. I just feel that these guys have the advantage of youth and they're really wide eyed and really excited and energetic. But we have the advantage of experience.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Sukarna Mandal from eTimes TV. Today we have the very dashing and one of the hosts from MTV Splitsvilla 15, Tanuj Virwani with us. Hi Tanuj, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Sukarna, and thank you for the lovely introduction. आप भी काफी खूबसूरत और dashing हो, so thank you.
Thank you so much. So tell us, the shooting is over.
Yes.
And the show is almost about to premiere. How was your entire experience of hosting a reality show, dating reality show for the first time?
You know, honestly, if you asked me 6 months back, I would never have even in a million years thought कि यार, मैं किसी दिन host करूँगा, because I don't have any prior experience of hosting. But when the guys from MTV got in touch with me and they said, hey, listen, they're seriously considering me to host MTV Splitsvilla 15, I was like, okay, this could be interesting. I was curious and I was a little scared as well because, Splitsvilla has such a rich heritage and a legacy. It's been part of popular culture since 2008. For God's sake, there are very few shows, not just in India, anywhere in the world that can last. It's a lot of responsibility. But of course, I knew that Sunny is the recurring host. She's been hosting it for 8-9 years now. And because we've worked together in the past, so that gave me that sort of confidence and that push that I needed. Okay, it's going to be kind of like a reunion, and at least you're kind of working with someone you have worked with and know pretty well, from before. So I went home, I saw some of the previous seasons and, the entire format of the show, the vibe of the show, thought maybe the things that I could bring to the table, because I think it's also an extension of your personality. You're not acting. Like when I'm in a movie or I'm on a web series, I'm playing a character. So I'm a vessel. The writer writes the dialogues, the director tells me what I need to do, and I'm simply conveying the message over here. It's an extension of myself. So even though we have a format, it's a lot more fluid in nature. There's a lot more back and forth. There's a lot more scope for improvisation. So I thought about it for a couple of days, and then I had a chat with my wife as well, and she was also of the opinion that I should give it a shot. So I'm like, let's do it. I guess hosting it is now. I love trying new things, and I think that when you're scared, you should totally do it because something cool and unique can be born out of fear as well. Yeah, it drives you
to overcome that scare.
Absolutely, no. If you haven't tried, then you haven't lived. It's as simple. I'm not saying you will be successful in everything that you do, but you should at least give it a shot. The fact that people who are from the business and who know exactly what they're doing have chosen you, so they obviously have a reason to do so. They don't just wake up one fine day and say, hey, listen, let's just go with Tanuj. There's so many options out there. So I'm like, let's respect the fact that they chose me, and maybe there's a reason why they chose me, and it's time that I became worthy of that reason.
Also, congratulations on your marriage.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yes.
So being in love, being married, did that help the contestants in navigating through their love stories while hosting?
That's a very, very interesting and thought-provoking question, and I think the answer to that will be yes, because I believe that when you are in a secure place in your life, personally as well as professionally, and you have someone that you can share this life, this journey with, it just empowers you in ways that you cannot even fathom or put down in words. So you are in a much better position to give others advice, especially people and kids who are just starting off their adult lives, who are yet to see the world and yet to experience so much, and of course, even for Sunny and for myself, because we are older than they are, so we've seen a lot more in life. So we were in a position where, okay, of course, you host the show, there's a format you need to follow, but at the same time, you wish these kids well. We may not know them prior to the show, but at the same time, we do want them to find their connection. We do want them to gain whatever they wish to gain from the show. And so we just try and shepherd them in the right direction. And I think, being in love makes a big difference. It does. Because the show is all about love at the end of the day. It's all about making the right connection, Yeah.
Yeah, and in today's scenario, the whole concept of love has changed a lot with the with so many dating apps, social media.
Yeah. Yeah. It
We
has.
just move on very fast, I feel. So, what's your take on that? What's your take on love in today's generation, and how did you guide the contestants with your concept of love?
Yeah, I feel every generation is very different. I mean, in the early 2000s, when I was in college, I remember like people older than me, some of my older cousins, my parents, they all thought that we are moving too fast. How can we be like that? I still remember that. And today, it's like life's come a full circle where we look at these kids and we're like, oh my God, how are they so fast, But I think that's just the evolution, there's this really interesting quote I'd come across, and it said that those who criticize our generation forget who raised it. So I think each generation is the sum total of the environment and of the upbringing that was given and the exposure given to them. So I think this is just the natural progression of life. There's so many terms that I had no idea about. Like, for example, situationship. I didn't even know what the hell that meant. I mean, like, हमारे दिन में we had relationships and we had like affairs or flings. I mean, I'm like, what is this? So you actually learn a lot as you go along, and I just feel that these guys have the advantage of youth, and they're really wide-eyed and really excited and energetic. But we have the advantage of experience. So I feel it's a give and take sort of equation. They provide so much of levity to the show and so much of honesty that they bring to the table, because they're their unmitigated selves, for better or worse. Like if they're upset, angry, happy, sad, joyful, it's all real emotions. And in return, because we know that a really wide audience is going to be watching the show, and then when it reruns and everything, that we want them to give a good account of themselves. So sometimes we would take them in the corner and be like, hey, listen, it's still a show. You need to keep in mind that there are 200 people on this set. It's the way you conduct yourself. I'm not saying don't be yourself. I'm not saying be fake. I'm not saying lie. But don't let your heart and affairs of your heart blind your better judgment. The one advice I would give all the contestants is you have to strike the right balance between here and here, and only then will you go far in the show. Otherwise, it's a pretty hardcore format. Only survival of the fittest. Yeah.
And what, according to you, are the necessity to hold a couple together?
Authenticity, obviously honesty, and knowing the fact that you cannot win the show alone. You have to have a real connection. You actually have to care about the person you've chosen, the person who's chosen you on the show, to be able to go all the way. I mean, you might win a couple of challenges here and there, and you might not get dumped, and maybe your friends will save you out of loyalty and this whole "tu mera bhai hai" and all that. But if you need to go all the way, you need to be open to forming that right connection. And there's no harm in like testing the waters. You don't have to like commit to the very first person you end up with. As there's a saying by Walt Disney. He had once said that you have to kiss many frogs to find your prince, and that's the same thing. I mean, you need to put yourself out there a little bit and stuff, and mingle, and only then will you know with whom your bandwidth is the best. So I think that's really, really important, because at the end of the day, Splitsvilla is a show that is celebrating companionship and love. You may be able to go further, far faster alone, but it's always going to be further together. So that's the one thing that all the kids kept getting lessons from both Sunny and me, because we are two people who are in love with our respective partners. So we are in that phase, at that stage of our life, where we are able to kind of give that advice. Yeah.
So when was it your realization that it's love and marriage going to be for you? And how did your wife react after seeing you in the promos?
The thing is, I mean, I've been looking to settle down for a while now, and she and me also go back a really long way. So we've been talking about this, and also the thing is, when you're just seeing someone, it's more like you're just thinking from here. But when you're talking about settling down, getting married, starting a family, taking things to the next level. There's so many logistics that you also have to take into consideration. Also because she's from Singapore and I'm from Mumbai, and I requested her that if we are to make this, if we're going to give this a good shot, then we must live together before we get married. I think it's very, very important. It's something like if your families are cool with it, you should give it a shot, because only when you live with someone do you get a true sense of who they are, and vice versa. It's very different when you're just seeing someone, boyfriend, girlfriend, you meet each other 3, 4, 5 hours, you go to your home, she goes to her home. It's very different. You don't want to wake up to any food shocks. So I think it was something organic. It happened over a period of time, and I think by the time it happened, she wasn't really shocked, because we'd already started speaking about it. So yeah, it just seemed like the natural progression of things.
And her reaction to the Splitsvilla promos?
So she really pushed me to do the show. I was actually kind of on the fence. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm making my feature film return with Yodha after so long, and I should focus on just acting right now and try and do better work and more substantial work. And she's like, yeah, of course you can and you should. That's what you should do. But these kind of opportunities don't come along every day. And considering you have no history in reality television or hosting, these guys have gotten in touch with you, and they were very serious, and they were like, hey, they didn't just say like you're one of the people we're meeting. They're like, hey, we want you for the show. So I think that empowered me. It gave me that confidence that okay, chalo, theek hai. Maybe I don't believe in myself right now as a host, but these guys really do at MTV Splitsvilla, and I'm like, I need to just take this leap of faith. So she was very, very supportive. In fact, she accompanied me during shoot briefly, and she really had a blast. She's like, oh my god, this is so much fun. Everything, the drama, the fun elements, the love, the banter, the romance, the challenges, the suspense of who's going to get saved this week and who's going to get eliminated. So many different things, And obviously, when this plays on TV, I think this will happen over the weekend. So this might get drawn out over 3 or 4 months. But when you're shooting it in real time, you're shooting start to finish in a month, and it just goes by like it's crazy.
And we'll wrap up this chat with the very interesting question on the theme of the show, which is Squeeze Me.
Yeah.
What's your take on being friends with exes?
I am all for being friends with exes as long as it is healthy, there's no toxicity, and it's platonic. Because, at the end of the day, we are a sum total of all the people we meet and the experiences that we go through. So I find it very hypocritical that one day you scream from rooftop saying, oh, I love you and you are the world and I'm nothing without you, and the next day break up ho jata hai and then you become toxic with your partner. So I don't like that. Of course, it's easier said than done. It takes a lot of work. I also believe that there needs to be a cooling period, because there's so many heightened emotions when two people are in an intense relationship and then they break up. But in the longer scheme of things, if you are able to, you don't need to be best friends, but at least keep things cordial and always wish each other well. I think that's the way forward. I have so many relationships of mine in the past which have not worked out and all, but I make it a point as much as I can to keep in touch, maybe from a distance, let them know that, hey, I am there, you can depend on me, and I know I can depend on you. And I think it is beautiful, but that only comes when you're in a secure place, and that only comes when there's mutual respect. And always be honest to your current partner, which is the most important thing. There's a reason that person is your ex, because obviously you guys were not in sync in a lot of matters, so that's why it didn't work out. So there's no point going back to that pond in a different capacity and being unfaithful to your current partner. You've got to be very transparent and clear. That's where I come from.
Well, thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Likewise, ma'am.
Wish you all the best. Can't wait to catch up on the new season.
Absolutely, and I hope we keep getting the opportunity to talk. I'm a big fan of the content that you guys put out, so it's so cool when I get the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.